Hello, everybody. Great being with you and great having with us Judge Andrew Napolitano, a man of men, especially when it comes to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, things that people forgot about. And Judge, we're in crazy times right now. We've been in crazy times for a long time, but a lot of wild stuff going on. And, we just had that election in New York City. I mean, this is in Akron, Columbus, Ohio. This is New York City. This is like one of the top cities in the world. And a very, very important election just happened. And again, the tariff war about Trump has been going on and on. The markets go up, the markets go down. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. And you have an article coming out, and boy, is it timely. It's about his tariffs. And you have that, can the president tax you? This week, the Supreme Court will begin the process of deciding if the president can impose a sales tax on products and services which originate in foreign countries and are purchased in the United States. The president calls these taxes tariffs. And just as we got on the air, the major news is Supreme Court justices appear skeptical that Trump's tariffs are legal, and that's what your whole article is about.
I listened to the oral argument. Obviously, I wrote the article before today, but I listened to the oral argument this morning, and their skepticism is across the board, from the most liberal justices to the most conservative, basically saying a tariff, just what you said in the first two lines. A tariff is a tax, and under the Constitution, only Congress can impose taxes. The government argues that the emergency powers given to the president, which allow him to stop goods from coming into the United States, implicitly allow him to tax goods coming into the United States. The challengers argue the very first power given to Congress under the Constitution is the power to tax. It's a core function. It can't be given away. And even if it could be given away, Congress didn't give it away, because if you read the statutes on which Trump is relying, there's two of them, neither of them mention tariffs. So the court is really going to have to call this. If you ask me how I think they're going to go, I think it's going to be 6-3 against him. It can't be retroactive because nobody knows who paid the tariffs. There's about $50 billion in the Treasury that came in from the tariffs. In some cases, you go to Walmart to buy a $25 toaster, it costs you $35. You've paid the additional 10, you paid the tariffs. Sometimes the manufacturer pays a portion of the tariff. Sometimes the importer pays a portion of the tariff to ease the burden on the ultimate consumer. So the Treasury doesn't even know who actually paid this money. It would be impossible to unwind the tariffs. But the Supreme Court has a rule. When it makes decisions on economic matters, they are prospective, not retroactive. So they could very well, and of course I hope they do, stop the tariffs in their tracks. I'm not making an economic judgment, just a constitutional one. All my colleagues are saying to me, oh, but Judge, Trump needs this power. Trump needs this power. Let him go to the Congress for it. If Congress enacts the taxes, as it did for every president from Thomas Jefferson to Richard Nixon, if Congress enacts the taxes, it's perfectly constitutional. Trump's problem is one of authoritarianism. He doesn't want to go to the Congress. He wants to do this on his own. This is his problem with many other areas of the law, like killing people in speedboats 1,500 miles from Florida, claiming that he can do so because they're drug dealers. We don't know who they are. We don't know what's in the boat. We've not seen any evidence. And he even claims that the laws he's relying on are secret. There are no secret laws. So that's where we are today. Forgive me for getting a little carried away.
What do you mean, forgive you for getting carried? People should get carried away because we're getting carried away.
Yes, we are getting carried away by a government that couldn't care less about the laws it has enacted, that couldn't care less about the Constitution. And in the case of these poor 70 people on these speedboats, couldn't care less about human life.
That's right. one after another, one after another. You know, you mentioned a couple of things here about, you said the tariffs, that they could only be done in a state of emergency. Is Trump claiming that this is a state of emergency?
Well, guess what he says the emergency is? Now, I know you know the answer to this because you're an economist. He says the emergency is the imbalance of trade. We've had an imbalance of trade since 1934. So an emergency is a sudden and unexpected event. Not my definition, Congress's definition. How the hell is an imbalance of trade an emergency? If I zero out one of my credit cards and use all the credit on the card and I owe more than I have in the bank, that's an imbalance of trade. Is it the fault of the people who sold me the product? Of course not. Should they be punished and taxed for selling me the product? Of course not. That's what he's doing. That's what he tried to tell the court was somehow rational, lawful, and constitutional this morning.
You know, when that guy, what's his name, McKinley, before Woodrow Wilson, they had tariffs back then, of course. Did Congress approve them, or did he do them on his own?
Congress did. Congress has approved tariffs for every president that asked for them. Not all of them asked, from Thomas Jefferson to Richard Nixon.
Wow.
It's a perfectly legitimate way for Congress to regulate international trade and for Congress to raise funds. It is not in the power of the president. Gerald, he got pissed off at a commercial that the Canadians ran during the Super Bowl showing Ronald Reagan blasting tariffs. And for that, he imposed a 100% tariff on all goods from Canada. That's not an economic reason. That's just personal presidential pettiness and pique. Pique.
And that clown boy, Carney, up there apologized for it.
I know. On bended knee. Not literally, but figuratively.
Yeah, a former Goldman Sachs guy. Is that the guy?
Yeah. That's the guy. How many Goldman Sachs people are running countries? Frederick Mertz, Mark Carney.
Yep. Yeah, Mertz, BlackRock. Yeah, it's a crime syndicate.
Yes.
And by the way, speaking of that, this is, you know, we just had an election in New York City. I mean, I'm a Bronx guy, you know, and I've been at this business for 45 years. This election is the most significant in my lifetime. Again, as a trend forecaster, as you being a constitutional judge, it's not about what you like, what you want. It's what is.
Right.
And the what is in this one is that this young guy, 34 years old, and no background in much of anything. I think he was a rap singer before he got into the assembly over here. And no big money behind him.
Correct.
And he gets a little over 50% of the vote. And when you put Sliwa and Cuomo in, you put their two together, they wouldn't have beaten him.
Correct. He
did it without money. And here's the most important thing of it. Look at what he's promising. Free childcare. And lower the prices of your groceries. Lower your rents. Rent control. Free bus rides. Anyway, he's giving people what they want because they can't afford to have. He got a load of young voters. One of our trends in the Trends Journal recently was Gen Z revolution. Generation Z they major protests in Nepal, in Madagascar, in Kenya, in Morocco, all young people. They have no future. And that is the major reason why I see this guy winning. The people have no future. A social democrat?
Let me add something to this. As significant as is your analysis, is the way he won. And you and I, of course, have talked privately about this many, many times. He was up against billionaires, literally, with all the disposable money that they could possibly want. and he had donations of under $100. No big money whatsoever. He beat the former governor and all of his billionaire friends, and most of those billionaire friends are ardent Zionists, terrified of a Muslim mayor who says that when Netanyahu lands at JFK, he's going to arrest him. I mean, they're absolutely terrified of that. I don't have to tell you, you were in the business. The money they can command, all the money that they could command. Even the president of the United States, the head of the Republican Party, told New Yorkers, don't vote for the Republican, vote for Andrew Cuomo. Yep. And still this kid beat them. And in a certain way, my hat is off to him. I don't agree with anything on policy except arresting Netanyahu. All these policies that you just articulated, they're doomed to be a disaster. They're an absolute disaster. Government's going to own the grocery stores. Could you imagine what they'll be selling in those grocery stores? Can you imagine the quality of the goods and the services there? But he knew what the lower middle classes wanted. He struck a chord. He beat the big boys at their game.
There are two articles in this week's Trends Journal that make it very clear about what's going on and why. This is under our Trends Eye View columns. No correlation between Wall Street and Main Street. Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And we have all the data in there about how bad it is. We only put the facts down. Article number 2 on that. Nearly half of Americans believe the best time of the country are behind them. That the best times of the country are behind them. This is why this guy won. This is very important. This isn't, again, this and New York City, and correct me if I'm wrong, has the biggest Jewish population in America.
It has the biggest Jewish population in the world outside of Israel.
All right. And the day before the election, Trump called Mamdani a Jew hater. Ackerman, Greenberg, Iceberg, you know that clown. Yeah.
Greenberg, Iceberg, that's an old joke. Go ahead.
All the money he got all the money that he gave to Cuomo.
Yeah.
He's a pro-Zionist.
Yes.
That this guy won in New York City. And I got to tell you, every one of my Jewish friends, every one of them, and some of the ones that have kids, supported Mamdani.
Do you know, Gerald, I have many Jewish friends, young Jewish friends, some of whom work here, voted for Mamdani.
There you go.
You know, the Zionists can rip apart Tucker Carlson all they want, but he has struck a chord and a nerve. The young people have had enough of the genocide and America funding it. They are sick of it.
Yep. And they are sick of the establishment parties.
Yes.
There's the proof right here. A social democrat. By the way, Jane, you have that clip. You could just put the part of it in the beginning of, we played it before on here, where Trump goes after in his State of the Union address when he's going to put Guaido in and overthrow.
Oh, God, when he introduces Guaido as if he's the president of Venezuela.
Yeah, but I just want to play the beginning of it because, again, remember, they call Mamdani a democratic socialist or a socialist democrat, either way. So just play the beginning of that when Trump introduces what he's going to say and when he says he's going to overthrow Maduro because of who he is.
That's why my administration reversed the failing policies of the previous administration on Cuba. We are supporting the hopes of Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to restore democracy. The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro.
Socialist dictator. Now, what's Mamdani?
Socialist.
A socialist. Oh, and everybody, again, it had nothing to do with the BS about drug dealing going on in Venezuela, and that's why they're killing the people.
I don't think anybody believes that nonsense out of the Trump administration, that it's narco-terrorists, whatever the hell that means. Everybody knows Trump wants to steal their oil. They offered a deal on the oil. Marco Rubio is so hung up on changing these Latin American governments for whatever reason. It's disgraceful. What happens when the American boys come home in body bags?
Yeah, who cares? They don't go. You know, they don't send a senator's son, as that song used to go. And again, he talks about how punishing Cuba. What the hell has Cuba done to us?
Nothing. We are starving Cuba to death.
Yep.
And he wants to punish Cuba. One of the decent things Barack Obama did was to try and regularize our relationship to Cuba. As soon as Trump came in, he undid it.
Yep. And brags about it.
Yes.
Again, it goes back to that little Rubio boy, Cuban.
Yes.
So anyway, going back to this guy, Mamdani, this is very important. Again, there were protests going on in Nepal, in Madagascar, Morocco, Kenya, Generation Z's taking to the streets. There is no future. This is why one of the major reasons why he's winning. Again, a socialist Democrat. So this is very serious because it's also indicating the real decline of the American economy. A Oxfam article just came out. The 10 richest billionaires in America added $700 billion to themselves last year.
Mm.
10
What do they do with that money?
10 billion got, 400 billion. 400 billion more. Wow. And you don't give a penny for peace. They don't give a penny for the rise of humanity. They could care less about we the people. Again, this is a huge, huge understanding of what's going on in the world and why there is going to be third parties that are successful.
Yes.
Because you could call what he just did a third party.
Yes. Yes. And if he did it from the left, it can be done from the freedom perspective. From the, we're not going to tax you. We're not going to redistribute your wealth. We're going to defend your natural rights to freedom.
Yep. And again, it's not, everybody should stop calling this theft, rather taxes. It's thievery. These aren't tax laws, they're thievery laws.
Yes.
Do you know what one of my buildings, you know the buildings I have over here?
Yeah.
The average school tax, what, Jane, is about $15,000? In each building.
Well, how many children do you have in the school system that you're paying that much money in school taxes? None.
Right? None. Each building, I'm paying about $15,000. $15,000. That's just school taxes, not property taxes. These are not taxes. It's thievery.
Yes, it is.
And so all these little slimeball politicians and all these other pieces of bureaucratic scum and these lowlives could have jobs and tell you what to do after they steal your money.
Right.
These are serious times, Judge. Serious times. And again, everybody pay as much attention as you can to this election and read what every major article is being reported, and not only on the mainstream, but on the social media of why he won. Follow this. This is the biggest victory of nowhere that I've ever seen in my life. Judge, thanks for being here, and everybody go to Judging Freedom. Hey, Judge, who do you got on now?
Tomorrow, Professor John Mearsheimer, Max Blumenthal, Colonel Douglas McGregor.
Wow. And Phil Giraldi was just on, wasn't he?
Phil was just on with me a few minutes ago. He is madder than a wet hen. It's very amusing and instructive to watch.
He's one man, one of a kind. Judge,
Yes.
Thanks for being on, and everybody go to Judging Freedom, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Gerald.